Welcome, everybody, to the Dreamers Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pardo. This is episode 236. And, of course, I'm joined by my boy Matt here, who's across from me.
Hello.
You can't see him on camera, but that's by design. And here is, of course, Ava, who's being very noisy today. She's got a lot to say. She went to Target. All right, Ave. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about today, Matt. And so apparently so does Ava. She needs to go to sleep though. So we're gonna put her in this little thing like this, and we're gonna try to get her to rock to sleep while I lay down some dreaming news. And if we can't get, we're just very tired. That's basically what this comes down to. We're so tired that it's... Ava, it's alright. Alright, let's change this. Alright, so let's move on. This episode is, of course, sponsored by MovieMail, moviemail.com. You can go check it out. It's a great community where you send an envelope, and I think we found the spot here, where you send an envelope to other dreamers and motivated people like yourself, and then they receive, you don't know who receives your envelope, then you receive an envelope from somebody who doesn't know that you're going to receive it, and it's just to motivate people to just be inspired and do better and do more, and go check it out. There's a whole cool video that I got to voice, was a whiteboard video, as they call them, over at moviemail.com, M-O-V-Y mail.com. Matt, how was your week?
It was pretty productive. I'm getting ready to move into a new apartment, so a lot of last minute scheduling and, kind of getting ready for that whole move. But it's going to be exciting. And I was also working on this. I haven't got it working yet, but I found this guide for, there's an app. Well, actually, I guess you could do this for iPhone too, but for Android, it's called Tasker. Okay. And somebody made basically it'll calculate your mileage automatically every time you drive and then export it to a Google Doc file that actually is in a format that would be accepted by the IRS. So for example, if you're driving so far to get to work, you can actually illustrate, hey, here's all the miles I've done exclusively for work, and then, tax time comes around, get a hopefully hefty refund.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a lot of work to set it up. I'm having some problems, so hopefully by the end of the week I'll have it working, because I commute a lot, so that for me this would be great.
Yeah, you do. You definitely commute a lot. You should be trying to get a write-off of sorts for that mileage. Just like one of the things that I looked up over the weekend, I was pretty sure you could do it, but I just wanted to check to make sure, is you can actually write off the shipping.
Really?
Of the stuff that you're shipping out, like through Amazon to sell. So definitely should be looking at doing that as well. I know I will be, because my shipping is well over $1,000 this year, and it's definitely something that we can write off. I know as well, like with speaking and all that, like I need to be recording the miles and all. It's a lot of work.
It is, yeah. Just when I looked at the example of the Excel doc, I mean, there's a ton of information. So if I can get it working, I'll put up a link, or I guess I'll give you a link in the show notes if I can get this working on my phone.
I would love to have throw the link up in the show notes.
Pretty useful.
Awesome. How much is it?
Well, it's technically Tasker. I think it was only like $5, and most of the plugins are free. It's very time consuming. They all have to be configured a certain way. But once you get it working, I mean that's it. It's basically one time fee.
Yeah, Ava seems to like it. So if you're watching here on Facebook Live, and you should be, which is facebooklive.com/superjoepardo. I need to make sure I'm not clicking anything, because her feet's hitting the keyboard over here. You should be watching live on Facebook Live, or watching afterwards on YouTube at superjoepardo.com/tube, TUB. One thing that's different, since if you are watching live, I have a new drinking cup. So I know some people had said that my other cup was pretty big. I'm trying to get it so that the light isn't. Ooh, we're burping. So the light isn't reflecting. But yeah, it's a dragon. It's almost like a pitcher. It looks like a pitcher, like that you would put like milk or something in. I was down at Sea Isle City over the weekend, and they had a food truck festival. So one of the things there was a like a soda truck or cart type thing, and it was like $18, but you get to keep the mug. And as soon as I saw the mug, I was like, yes, I gotta have this. All you could drink soda, and they had like some art sodas, like black cherry and vanilla, and like different kinds of flavored sodas, rather than just like their standard Pepsi or Coke stuff. So now I have a nice mug instead of my NutriBullet or whatever it's called. Yeah, NutriBullet giant plastic cup to drink out. Plus, it's got a wider base, so I don't have to worry about tipping it as much as my NutriBullet that had a very slim bottom to it. So let's see what else has been going on this week. So this week it's going to be a really tough week on me. It's already been a tough week. So I've been dealing with being sick for the past, like, I don't know, a week or so, as it is. Not like sick, not like normally like I get sick. And this is actually the first time being sick that I can recall in quite a while, where I am just coughing like a lot. like that, actually. So it's been kind of difficult to have the energy to keep it all going here. But I've been taking medicine every day, and it's been getting a little bit better. Than last night got really worse, and this morning I did not feel good at all. But here we are. We're talking and we're doing. This week I am speaking twice. I'm speaking at Pod Talk Philly. So if you're in the Philadelphia area and you love podcasting and want to learn, my talk specifically will be about growing your audience through your guests or guest experts, as everybody likes to call them these days. Right, Ava? Yeah, that's right. And the guest, the whole guest expert thing, and how you can use it to your advantage versus what some people like to think is the way to go. And I have my own opinions after 2 years of doing it. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff to be learned, some stuff to be discussed, and of course I'll be taking questions afterwards. It's in Fishtown in Philadelphia. If you go to my website superjoepardo.com, you could like click the link or just follow the address that's on the bottom of the screen here, and get there from here if you're watching it live. Yeah, there's a link with all the information and all that. It's totally free. There's food and beer and water and sodas and stuff for people to drink. It's Nikki Purby and Eileen run it. Like if you're on Blab a lot, you know Eileen. Like she's all over the Blab thing. So yeah, go check that out. If not, if you won't be there, I will have the video up on YouTube at superjoepardo.com/tube shortly, probably like the next day or so, or maybe next week, because I got a lot going on this week. So then that's Wednesday night, and then Thursday like late morning, I'll be speaking in Camden, New Jersey, at HopeWorks. Now we talked about HopeWorks before, Matt, and the awesome work that they're doing there to bring computer jobs, technology jobs, to an underserved community.
I think underprivileged.
Underprivileged, underserved, under a lot of things.
Right.
In if you know Camden, it's not really all that great there, with the exception of the water. Excuse me, the waterfront. So they're doing their part for the last 15 years to bring training and not just training, but internships. So paid internships. So they're paying these kids and they're paying these young adults to learn how to better to code and use computers and how computers work, and get their degrees, get their GEDs. Get them through high school, then get them the jobs that they want. So it doesn't even just have to be in computers, but at this point, pretty much every job is requiring that you use that you be able to use a computer, and that's really what they help you do. But they help you learn how to think better, rather than just like, oh, here's how you use Excel and Word. And actually, it was really interesting. Speaking of that, I was finishing up a documentary about the British and their video game industry, and all like the original creators of a lot of these systems and the games, and we apparently don't like to move in this position. Anyway, so I was watching that, and what what stood out to me was that in especially in England, they have a severe amount of kids not going into computer science classes. They're treating their computer, and I think actually kind of, I mean, we weren't really like that, I guess, but kind of we were treating their computer classes more like, here's how to type, here's how to here's how to work in Excel, and here's how to do it, and it basically is turning these kids off from the idea of becoming computer engineers, computer scientists, programmers. Like it's really like killing their future as far as that goes, and we all know that technology is the future, so it's really important that they get kids back involved with computers more than just like, here's how to work in an office setting, because
yeah, I mean,
that's boring.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what they were teaching. You're right. It was, like being able to type quickly, and then like the most basic Excel access, Word. I mean, stuff that anybody can pick up. Just really not that useful. I mean, if they had done something like kind of basic scripting courses or just anything with programming, there's so many other avenues I could have pursued that would have been more useful. But,
right. And there was, I mean, we had access to other classes, but I think that kids, they need to know how things work in order to figure out how to use them better, especially while they're still young and they can absorb that type of knowledge, versus when they get older and they don't have time to be like, well, let me Google how this works, because that time just doesn't exist. I mean, look, I'm sitting here with Ava and trying to keep her happy at the same time having this conversation with you, Matt, and the live streamers and the podcast and all that, and watching, to make sure that everything's recording properly and we're videoing properly and all of that. Hey, all right. We'll just keep bouncing. We're just gonna keep bouncing. So it's really tough. Or it's tough in the sense of where these kids are coming from, and then getting an amazing opportunity to learn stuff that they would have no opportunity to learn otherwise. So then the other thing is, I'm speaking at the United Nations, in July. I think the 17th. I think it's July 17th. So that's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great time. I'm gonna miss this little girl, of course, while I'm away, because I'll be in New York without her and Melissa, of course. So it's gonna be sad being away. That'll be the longest I've ever been away since this little girl was born. So, oh, Ava. All right. So let's see topics here. Oh, did I get around to finishing the story about the cup and like the background of it?
No, I believe there's more to that. You were just saying that they had a bunch of flavors and they had a large cup, but I believe there was also a charity behind that.
Something to that effect. I didn't get the whole story, and maybe if you go online, it's sodacityonline.com. From what I understand, it was started up by a bunch of firefighters who were first responders on 9/11. So they got together and they started up like a soda truck, and which is cool. And I'm sure that out of the $18, something probably went to some foundation for firefighters or something. So really, really great, really great cause, or at least really great people that were willing to put their life on the line that day and be selfless like that. So, and we're just being really loud. We're just being really, really loud. Okay, so so I got I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, Matt, but I did get shortlisted for a talk in front of 450 community leaders and volunteers. It's okay, Ava. You're all right. And sorry about all the crying. Anyway, it's an amazing opportunity, and I hope that I get it. I feel like I'm pretty qualified to do what they're looking for, and hopefully we'll find out in the next week or two whether or not I am lucky enough and fortunate enough to get it. So, it's funny. I was just thinking, so many podcasters and radio and and really anybody trying to record is always trying to go out of their way to get the best possible sound with the least amount of noise. I mean, myself included, as far as like getting these, Shure SM7B microphones and making sure that my computer is as quiet as possible. And none of that matters because you got an Ava in the wings here who's just going to town.
Yeah, she's not having it.
No, she is definitely not having it, and that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. So the month of July, I have a lot of things coming up, mostly in this week or in early July. But what I really want to do in July is focus on bringing the show to possibly more than one day a week, where I do like these topic talks and utilizing some of these topics that I've talked about in the past and maybe expanding upon some of them, updating some of them with new views that I have. And really that goes along with upgrading the YouTube channel, the superjoepardo.com/tube, and just really elevating that to bring it to like another audience. And then utilizing those YouTube videos as audio files as like short episodes. So these episodes might be like 2 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It depends how long it takes for me to talk about a topic. Sometimes as I can be kind of long-winded as you all know. So, yeah, but I'm really excited about the proposition of bringing the show to YouTube in a more formatted, regular sense. So yeah, I'm just looking down at my shirt and it's all got spit up on it. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. So look forward to that. I don't want to make any commitments yet as far as like how many days a week extra I'll be doing or how often they'll definitely be. I'm gonna try for one extra show a week, but we'll see what happens. Sometimes maybe I'll be able to get some more than others since they're short, but probably like around like a Thursday or a Friday release date. So like every Friday have like an extra episode where you can check out a topic. And it's just real short, and we go in and discuss it as in depth as we can. So let's see here. So I had a question over the weekend that I saw that was proposed about do I get nervous before I go and speak? And I don't know, Matt. Like, well, you got to see me the other day at the Kittypreneur Expo.
Right.
Would you say I was nervous?
No, you weren't. It's funny because I was actually asking the same question. If you had any anxiety about going up on stage, and you said no. It's for you, it seemed like it was pretty easy because you went up there, you launched right into it. You didn't seem to get hung up on anything, and you didn't have any index cards. You're trying to flip through, like you were just prepared, professional. I just went right through it like it was, like nothing. So that was pretty cool to watch.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, no, I having slides helps but in some ways having slides doesn't help because you can't really go off topic too much because you're kind of on that rail of it. So for me, my response to that is it really, I don't get nervous if I know that I can talk from the heart, right? So like if I know that if what I'm going to talk about isn't something that I don't understand really well, or because in order, they said like, who was it? It was either Ben, I think it was Einstein, but it might have been Ben Franklin. It's like if you can't explain something simply, then you don't know it well enough. That's what it comes down to. Like you need to know with the topic that you're talking about so well that you can just explain it as like simplistically as possible. And if you can't, then you really just don't know enough about it to do that. So for me, it's like, okay, well, if I got to go up and talk about something that's straight from the heart, something that I live and breathe and eat and all that, like aside from coughing constantly, I should be able to maintain enough of a consciousness of thought or a stream of consciousness, I should say, that I'm able to just talk about, like as if I was talking on this like about it on this show, or just with somebody like sitting here in my kitchen. Oh no, we're losing it again. And sometimes your stream of consciousness gets thrown off a bit. It's alright. Shh. It's like a contest in here. Just say how long can we maintain a yell? All right, hold on. We're gonna do something that calms her down. That's it. All right, so yeah, so for me, like, I think that if you can do something that comes from the heart, comes from your mind, comes from a place that you understand so well that it's just it's second nature to you. And in my case, entrepreneurship, business, dreaming, all of that. Apparently, making a baby calm down. All that comes to mind, and I could talk to those topics pretty well without need of a lot of forethought. Now, with that said, forethought is helpful because you do want to. I don't want to say draft, but like build a story that people can follow, right? Like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's really important that you're able to do that, because if you can't, people will get lost. And I know that sometimes I'm not always the best at doing that, and that's why if I try to make bullet points, at least in my mind, and keep those bullet points fresh in my mind, I can follow along with that and connect the dots. I also attribute a lot of that ability to do all of that through from DJing, from my past in DJing, being able to build a story of music, building, and all of that. So it's really important, though, that you build that arc. And I know, Matt, you as a storyteller, you definitely know how to do that beginning, middle, and end part really, really well.
And then, that just comes from, essentially practice. I mean, part of writing is, the more you read, the better you will be at writing, because, you start to learn how to put a story together. You increase your vocabulary, and you learn how to build interesting characters. But, like anything else, if you don't put it into practice, you're not going to be as good as you could be. And it's a tough field to stand out in. Is same thing with public speaking. I mean, that's or
trying to go to sleep, apparently.
Well, yeah, that's it.
There's a beginning, middle, and end, and right now we should be in the middle of sleeping, but we're having trouble just getting to the start of it.
Could be teething, right? You're saying maybe that might be what's going on.
Possibly. She has been drooling a lot more in recently than she was just before, maybe like 2 weeks ago. So she might be. She quite possibly could be teething. She likes to chew on the frozen. They look like dog play toys that you put in the refrigerator or freezer, and she definitely likes to get her mouth on those. So, well, I don't know. Don't know enough. I'm not a doctor. It'll be a little while before she gets to go back to a doctor, which is actually surprising how much time there is between those doctor's visits. And so for me, I don't get nervous. I used to get nervous. I guess sometimes like I said, I can be nervous, especially if I'm trying to talk. Like here's an example. I was put on the spot to do an icebreaker talk about myself the other day at one of the Toastmasters meetings, and it was tough because I had found out like just 5 minutes before I was asked to go up front and talk about myself. And as Matt, and Ava knows, and anybody watching knows, like I do so many things, and I want to get them all out there, and it's tough because I can't get them all out there, especially if this goes on. But more importantly, excuse me, it's tough to get all those things out there and so you have like 3 minutes. So I was like, I'm trying to talk about myself. It's like I have to pick just like one thing that exemplifies everything. But at the same time, I want to explain everything. And they told me afterwards, they're like, "Oh, you did a good job. The problem is you tried to talk too much about everything. Like you have a lot inside, and you want to let it all out, and you can't."
Which is funny because it seems like a lot of people I've run into that are trying to do public speaking or it's the opposite. Like they only have so much to say, and it's like I have all this empty time. How do I pad this out? Whereas you, it's like I don't have enough time. I gotta sit here and talk all day, and if you let me. But
I don't like to. As the business side of things and as the human side of things, I'd much rather listen a lot of times because that's how you learn. That's how you understand other people. That's how so many things can happen for you if you listen. So being able to talk, like, yeah, sure. I mean, that's the whole reason I opened the show up to this pre-show, because I wanted the ability to add my own, follow along with my story, follow along with what's going on, follow along as I live my dreams, and then talking about topics. And maybe what will end up happening is I'll do more of the me talking about myself in these pre-shows and leaving the topics for these mini episodes. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, so far I've had so much fun doing these, not just the live streams, but just talking with, catching up with you, Matt, and having Ava here, who's like staring off into space now, finally, for the moment. It's just been a lot of fun, and it's been really dynamic for me as a podcast, excuse me, as a podcaster, and not having to be a slave to editing all of this. And yeah, sure, there's lots of crying and I'm coughing, and no, it's not perfect, but I think it lends itself to the fact that, look, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I barely have enough time to get on this mic and do the live recording as it is. As Mondays is all about Dreamer, mostly all about Dreamers podcast and getting that episode together and out. So while I used to be all like, oh, I gotta edit all of this and how we gotta have separate channels and no, like I don't have to do any of that anymore. There isn't time. It's not that important. The content's more important than anything. And I think that comes with a certain level of confidence of like knowing that, like, look, what I'm talking about is good enough. And I'm not just talking about for myself, right? That might just came off and sound really cocky, but in general, when we create projects and we create things for others, we need to have the confidence that it's like, look, this is the best work that I can give with the amount of time that I have, with the resources that I have. And that's, I was reminded the other day, my books, these are what the results of when this is what you have available to you. And this is what you can accomplish. And this is, what I can do in the time frame that I have. The content's good. The art is, debatable, but art's art. but that's the whole point. It was on me, and it's on me and my creativity. And sure, the execution could be 1,000 times better if I had more time, if I had a budget, if I had. But the point is it's done. I did what I could do with what I had. I'm proud of what I've done, and I've taken it to, a higher level than I thought I could get. And we're going to continue to grow as that goes. So with all that said, I want to talk about Demolition.
All right, let's do it.
So I was watching the new Jake Gyllenhaal film called Demolition the other day, and it's really a great movie. Like if you're, I'm a huge Jake Gyllenhaal fan. Like huge Jake Gyllenhaal fan. So for me, I love seeing him in any movie he's done. I'm gonna watch it. The thing about Demolition was, I guess to me it's a little disappointing because he always seems to play the same like types of characters with like tics and stuff like that. Like they have like little like odd, like they're always odd. Like they're just odd people in general. For one reason or another. And the message to me that I got out of it was that you need to stop existing and start noticing things in life. You know, it's so easy to get wrapped up in just existing. And I would say a good example, or maybe a somewhat good example of that, was that the movie Click with Adam Sandler. You know, going through life and just existing rather than doing what you can to make it more fulfilling. To notice things and to pay more attention to the people around you and what they're saying, and not just blowing them off because, well, I'm on to the next thing of how I'm going to make more money so we can keep this perpetuating this life that we don't really care about going, you know, and I don't really know what it is that I want out of life because I've never stopped to think about what it is that I want out of life. So we're just going to keep rolling with it. And it kind of like snowballs into this thing where it's like, well, this is your life. You know, it's like that show, like, this is your life. And they had the people on. Do you remember what that was called? Was it called This Is Your Life?
It probably was. The only thing I think of when I hear that is the Sesame Street spoof with Guy Smiley. You know, that's...
Guy Smiley. Oh, you talking about the blue guy?
No, he was the orange puppet, like the had like a giant mouth. Oh, this Guy Smiley. This is your life, or whatever it was. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, all right. I know it. Yeah. So I think that it's really easy to fall in that trap, and I know that I personally fell into that trap. Because when you're not happy about the things that are going on, whether it's things that you can control or not, you need to take a step back. And in my case, it took, you know, almost 3 years of taking a step back and looking hard at, like, what is it about what I'm doing with my life that I like? How can I expand upon those things that I like? How can I expand upon the people that I like, the people that I get along with, the people that matter to me, versus continuing down a path of, even if it's successful to give you what you want, like monetarily or materialistic, expanding upon what is success to you. And that, you know, obviously success could be a lot, like one of many different things. It doesn't have to be just that one, like, oh, it's just money, or it's just this or just that. But success in the idea that's like, look, I have a baby now, and I love being around her and watching her grow and watching her learn, like we talked about before, about the whole, like, her watching her hand. And it's like, no one's gonna be like, yo, Ava, everybody knows how to use their hands. You don't have to figure out how to use your hands, but you're gonna go and be the best hand noticer that you could be, you know, up until you move on to the next thing. And actually, Matt's showing me a picture of the guy Smiley. If he saves that picture and emails it to me, or we look it up afterwards, yeah. I'll get that picture in the show notes.
No, you were right. The original show was called "This Is Your Life." The parody I was thinking of was called "Here Is Your Life." But yeah, so no, you were dead on. And yeah, you know, success. It's measured in different ways. I mean, certainly having a child is a huge milestone. And you know, yeah, we talked before. I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody's going to come in and say, oh, you know, well, that's not impressive. You know, we all had babies, or, you know, we all have hands. Ooh, big deal. I mean, it's probably like that one jerk somewhere. Somebody has to be
I'm sure somebody
gotta be rude, but
doesn't like their life enough to want to go and try and ruin others.
All right.
Or just bring others down, like, without even realizing that they're doing it.
Yeah, there's people out there like that. I mean, but the thing is, you know. Okay, so what? I mean, you're confident in what you're doing. Ultimately, what does it really matter to you? What some stranger or some, like, angry family member or you know, whatever says or thinks about you? And you know, it's like in the course of your day, it really means nothing. It's irrelevant. In fact, it's almost in certain ways it would be a compliment to you. It's like, wow, they took that much time to hate me or to say something so nasty, like. Am I really that much more impressive? They got to try and bring me down to their level. You know.
Well, yeah, right, and it's tough because I've run into that whole like I don't want to brag, but technically everything that I do and everything that I could be doing and anything that I could be showing, whether it's online, like living a certain life or traveling around, like technically that's going to make somebody unhappy about what it is or turn somebody off
Sure.
to me or what I'm doing, and not just me, and I'm not just trying to I'm trying to pin it as anybody that's trying to do whatever it is that they're trying to do, like whatever it is that you're trying to do. Like there could be somebody else out there that feels a certain way, and it's tough because even though like I don't want to spend time thinking about those people or the people that want to bring me down, you do get a little satisfaction when you could be like, hey, look, I'm doing this.
Right.
What are you doing? But I guess I could lie and be like, oh well, it's because I want to inspire people to do better. Like everybody should be happy, right? Everybody deserves a right to be happy, and I think that no matter who it is, no matter what kind of issues that we have with each other or whatever's going on, like even if you're going through a divorce, like the other person deserves to be happy in whatever capacity that is, and if they can't be, well, then that's a shame for them. But that doesn't mean I have to like bring my life down for them or to them.
Yeah, you have enough people trying to bring you down. Enough people want to do that for you, that want to bring you down, and you know, and that's anybody that either finds success or even people that change. It's like, you know, like, oh, we were both fat, so we went out and ate out all the time, and now you're losing weight, and you know, now I feel crappy about myself, so you know, I'm gonna try and you know, force you to eat more. Like that's there's people like that. That kind of stuff happens. I mean, it's unfortunate, but
right, they don't want to see you elevate yourself. Right. Excuse me. Those types of situations do put us in a situation where we would be like, you know, I want to show off my new girlfriend to the ex or something to that effect, or here's my shiny new car. Like, you can hate all you want, you can be mad at me all you want, but I'm still the one getting in this car.
right.
Or as I had to put it to somebody once that was trying to pick up Melissa at a wedding. You know, you could say whatever you want to say, but at the end of the night, she's still getting in my car, like, and we're going
Right.
back to our house. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And it gave him insight because he was a little, you know, he was indulging himself in drinks and stuff like that. But
You know, and it's flattering that you know, it's like, oh well, you know, somebody's hitting on my wife. I mean, obviously they find her beautiful, so you know, it's flattering for her to be hit on. But at the same time,
well,
it's
no,
like,
it wasn't. She
yeah,
was
well.
actually she was not happy about it.
Well, maybe
at
the guy
all.
was he like a troll? Like, was he being really like saying some nasty stuff? Or
I guess I don't know. I kept ignoring from across the table.
oh, you were definitely the bigger man in that situation because you know it's you know that could have gone a couple different ways.
Of course, and it could. But that's the problem. Like, and that's the whole thing of being confident in yourself. It could while it makes you feel good, it didn't make Melissa all that happy because she's like, yeah, I wanted you to come in and protect me. And I'm like, but he wasn't doing anything other than talking to you.
Right.
Like, get up and go to the bathroom or something.
It can go either way. Like, there's been situations where
start a fight at my friend's wedding.
I stepped in. It's like, you know, and then later it's, oh, thanks for stepping in. There are times like, oh, no, why'd you make a scene? Like, he was just talking to me. I'm like, oh, I thought, well,
I thought it was go time.
now I'm the jerk.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
So I don't know. You try and play it by ear, but you can't always be right.
Yeah, no, you can't. But when you're right, you want to, you know,
Right.
Put a tally up that like, hey, I was right that
Yeah,
one
look.
time. I did the right thing. But yeah, so it's tough because like I don't like to overtly brag, but then I also at the same time believe in and I forget who it was. I think it was an old baseball player. It was like, look, it's not bragging if you can do it. And there's been other people that have said that.
Yeah.
And I try to go by that because it's like, look, I'm not trying to brag, but at the same time, like, people, if you don't let people know what you're doing, then they won't know what you're doing. if you don't put it out there, no one's gonna know.
Right.
And sure, there's gonna be people that don't want to hear about what you're doing because they're either upset, they're probably gave up on what it is that made them happy to some extent, and they're just not. They just won't. They refuse to be happy. Now, if that's the case, then maybe my suggestion to those people is maybe they should start spending less time with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Spend less time with that person who's telling you. And of course, you could always take it to the extreme of like, well, that person, all they do is talk about how they're jet setting around the world in their Ferrari or whatever. I mean, in their own jet, not in a. You don't jet around. That would be pretty cool though.
Oh yeah, you don't want to fall into that trap of comparing yourself to other people, but you're right though. I mean, you have to promote yourself, especially when you're talking about a business, and it's easier to promote yourself to say like friends and family because a friend will they're interested in what's going on in your life. I mean, you could be talking about anything and they want to hear about it. When you're trying to talk to complete strangers, trying to network with strangers, that's when it becomes a lot harder. I think that's kind of like a better measure of your level of success in terms of how well am I promoting myself when I have X amount of people I don't know that are consistently listening to what I have to say or watching my YouTube videos or what have you, or buying my books, as opposed to like, oh, I got 20 people, but it's my cousin and my brother and my sister. It's like, all right, yeah, they're kind of a given.
No, but
that's a good place to start.
They're not though, because a lot of times, and I found this from other people that I've talked to that are in like content creation. Mm-hmm. A lot of times those people that are your family won't watch or listen.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason is if you wanted to know, you would just go talk to them.
So they're actually might be your toughest critics then, as opposed to.
Well, I don't know about the word critic necessarily, but toughest to get to listen or watch or participate or anything like that. Especially if they're not really, really into what you're doing. Especially if you, like, say you were doing something with video games, right, and no one in your family is doing anything with video games. They're probably not going to watch and listen. Now, I mean, maybe your mom will. Maybe your dad will, maybe once in a while. But if they really don't know, then chances are they're probably not going to invest that extra time. Maybe they'll check it out once, and they won't be negative about it, but they don't know, so that it doesn't pique their interest, and that's fine because when you do things like that, when you do anything really, you're not supposed to be for everybody, so it's okay. It's okay. You can let it go. Yeah,
I don't think there's any like universal, I don't know, TV show or podcast or anything that everybody agrees is absolutely worthwhile. You must always tune in. I was
Super Bowl. I don't know.
Not even that. I mean, I only watched the Super Bowl a handful of times, and mainly more for the commercials. Not to like out myself as a non-sports fan, but unless I'm watching with friends, I'm not really that interested. But that's okay. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, but you still watched it. Like, even if you just watched for the commercials, you still partook.
Well, even then, I mean, I could just get the commercials, later on YouTube. But
that's
again,
true.
it's
in this case, they just put the commercials out before the thing even happened, so you already seen some of the commercials.
A lot of it is, humans are social creatures. We want to go out and hang out with our people. Like, anything's more fun when there's somebody else involved. Like going to a concert or watching the Super Bowl or what have you.
Right.
You can do it by yourself, and you go out and have a good time, but it's much neater if you're like somebody else is there, like, oh, I remember when this happened, and then, some crazy thing. Instead of trying to explain it after the fact, it's like, oh, it was so amazing, and they're just kind of giving you a look, and you're like, well, you kind of had to be there.
Right. Well, yeah, and that, of course, that's a lot of times. You just have to be there. So it really just comes down to being confident in what you do, why you're doing it, and staying steadfast about it. But at the same time, like, going back to the example of like, well, is it showboating? Like, oh, well, I'm wearing a Rolex, like, and I'm driving this expensive car. To a certain extent, like, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, you could be dressed as like anything you want, but if you roll up in like a Bentley, people are just going to all of a sudden make an assumption that, wow, he must be like a rock star. He must be doing something where he could just dress however he wants, and society is just going to accept him because clearly he's driving an expensive car. And I just don't know how I feel about that.
It's kind of
It's
two
a
thing. I
shame.
mean, because on one hand, it's like if like you mentioned Kanye West in the past. Basically Kanye West, his job is to promote himself. So of course, if you're dressing flashy, driving flashy, it's good for you in turn, promoting yourself and getting out there and getting people's attention. But on the other hand, it's like, well, I'm trying to be humble about it, trying not to rub it in people's faces. So I think you could find a happy balance where you can be happy about things you've accomplished, but not be like a total jerk about it, unless you are a total jerk, in which case it's not going to make a difference.
Well, okay, so like with the example of Kanye West, like with when Kanye West did the album with Jay-Z, they did that. They did a music video where they actually they took saws and I think it was a Rolls Royce, I think, or a Bentley, one or the other, and they cut the roof off of it and then sold it for charity. Like, no, you don't get to just do that. And I mean, obviously you gotta have the money, and obviously they're so well established or whatever. But that's like, oh, you're showboating for a good cause, because nobody else is probably gonna go buy a multi-$100,000 car and then just cut the roof off of it like all willy nilly with a saw for a music video, and then donate the money that to charity. So it's difficult, but at the same time, like, you should be able to be comfortable with the things that you want and the things that you own. So it's just difficult. It's to me, it's a difficult situation because, like I said, I don't necessarily like to showboat, but in some cases, like, it doesn't matter what you're gonna do or what you're gonna own. You probably own more than somebody else. It's like that. There's a video out there where it's like the guy standing on the corner for the bus is looking at the guy in the car and thinking, or he's in the bicycle and he's like, man, I wish I could afford a car. And then the guy in the car is looking at the guy with, in the high-end car, and he's like, man, I wish I could afford that car. And the guy in the high-end car is looking at the guy in the sports car, and he's like, oh, I wish I could afford that car. And then the guy in the sports car is looking at a helicopter and says, I want to get a helicopter. So there's always going to be, somebody else that's looking up to somebody else for something else that they want, something else.
Yeah, but that could be positive motivation as long as you don't. You don't. Again, I think it's unhealthy to compare yourself on a daily basis with other people, and
it definitely is.
But it doesn't hurt to have somebody you can either look up to or just somebody that's done something like, oh, I want to do that. Like, that's good. That's positive motivation, but not, this guy has all this stuff and he's always flashing all his cash around. I feel like crap. It could go one of two ways. Or you either feel like crap and say, maybe I can do some things to better myself. Not to say you're going to get to that level, or maybe you will. I mean, it depends on how much input you want, effort you want to put into it. But it's good to have goals, and again, as long as you're confident in what you're doing, as long as you have some kind of focus, hobby, passion, really, in your life, that's that becomes your unique thing, and that's something nobody else can take away from you, no matter how many helicopters are flying around your house.
Yeah. Listening to I was mentioning my friend Nikki earlier. I seen a video that she was talking in, and she had mentioned something about having these people that grow up and, like, the only thing that they dream for or want, and I'll preface this after the fact, but is money, like, and expensive things and all that. It's like, but they don't have like a drive where it's like, well, what's the hobby? What's the thing that's going to propel you towards those things that you want? But with that said, I've had people on my show before where they're like, well, what was your childhood dream? To be rich. I think I've had two. Well, to be rich wasn't the exact words for one, like a couple of them, but there was the general gist of, like, I want to be financially okay, or well off, either one. But so it's I think by and large, I think that you really need something that to latch onto, rather other than, like, I just want to be rich and I just want to have these cars and I want to have this and that, and Utilizing that as a justification for yourself, to me, is really it's really tough. It's tough because that means you haven't given much thought as to what it is that you can contribute to the world to make you worth that. That stuff that you want. It's definitely a difficult topic for sure. For some people to have to sit down and break it down to like, what is it that I want, how do I get there? And I mean, that's why I wrote the How to Dream book. That's why I have the talk, and in the talk and in the book we talk about what kind of life is it that we want to live. If we want to live in the country, like in the countryside or farm or something like that, like we don't need to make as much money as we would if we wanted to live in like Manhattan. It's you just don't. So you need to know what kind of life it is you want to set yourself up for, not just I want a bunch of nice stuff. You could live in the middle of a farm, like in middle America, where it's really cheap to live, and have all the nice things and everything that you could possibly want. But if what you wanted was to live in the city, in New York or LA or wherever that's expensive, then you need to know that. Like, you need to ask and answer these questions up front so that you're not making the wrong decisions before it's now you have a lot more hurdles in front of you to make it what you want, to make it go where you want it to go. So anyway, I think we're going to wrap up here because this cough and my throat, and I have 2 talks to give this week. One in Philly, one in Camden. Really looking forward to them. And hopefully I'll still be able to talk by then. What else is going on tonight or this week? I'm being interviewed. My girl Kim is having me on her show, all talking about e-courses and like the experience that I had building my own e-courses, my own website and everything, and how I eventually went a different route altogether for it. What else? Oh, I was supposed to go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. I keep missing them because they're so early. They're like 8 a.m., which isn't early, but it is. Like, it's early for me now, especially with her, to get up and to have everything, all my ducks in a row in time for me to head out to the meeting. So looking forward to going to that. And then at night, I'll be in Philly. Then I'll be in Camden. And then I don't remember where the rest of this week is. But yeah, there's quite a few things going on this week. So looking forward to all of that. And there were some other topics I wanted to get to. I'm sure I'll get to them next week, including procrastination. Yeah, that's been really bad about that. Need to get better on the whole procrastination thing and talking about dealing with it. Ava finally went to sleep, so that's why I got quiet during the show here. Aside from my coughing, Matt, I really appreciate you coming over, talking.
Yeah, as always, happy to be here.
Next week you'll be moved to your new place.
I will. I'll be so far away. How are we gonna do this?
I mean, there's always Skype. Or, you could walk.
I'm really not that far away. So.
All right. Well, let's see. Moviemail.com. Go check it out. superjoepardo.com/tube. Go check out the YouTube channel. And hit the subscribe button, the like button on this video and all the other videos. If you enjoyed the content. I know Ava fell asleep, so it must have been pretty boring. And my voice is really tired. So, yeah, I think that's about it. I'll put the videos up of the Philly Pod Talk and the Hopeworks in Camden later on, either this week or next week. Hopefully, I get that speaking gig for 450 people. I find out. I think it's in like October or November or something like that. Oh, and I have a conference. If you love podcasting, if you want to come out in September 9th and 10th. It's midatlanticpodcast.com. It's right now it's currently $100 to sign up. That price is going up August 2nd. So go check it out. midatlanticpodcast.com. We have some awesome speakers coming. Some Mark Asquith is one coming all the way from the UK, as well as plenty of other speakers covering a wide range of topics from making money to creativity to community building. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. And we just got picked up by another sponsor too. Our friends over at AWeber. I'll also be live streaming. I think in like 2 weeks, I'll be heading over to AWeber's. Their world headquarters is actually just over the bridge in Pennsylvania. So looking forward to that. Yeah. All right. So that's it. Stay tuned because the interview this week is Robert Hartline. I forgot to mention him. I forgot to mention it before, but I try to mention the episodes this week, or the interviews for each episode. Robert Hartline, he started his own business. He's a great entrepreneur. He's doing big things. Really great guy. Glad I got to talk to him. Stay tuned for After the Jump when you can listen to that interview. And Ava is still... Oh, eyes are open. Maybe I shouldn't have did that. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you next week.